Hi, everybody, and welcome once again to Ivy League English. I'm Karen.
And I'm Wesley.
Today is December 17th, and we're on page 50 in your magazines. And today we have a grammar lesson for you. We're going to continue talking about adverbs and adverbial expressions.
好，我们今天继续谈解析文法里面第8章的副词啊。
We're going to start by talking about after.
好，那我们在第3节重要的副词用法里面，我们要谈 after 啊 ，after 这个字它当副词的时候的用法。好，那 after 大家最熟悉的大概就是一个介系词的用法啊，或者是一个连接词的用法。好，但在这里我们看成副词的用法。那 after 做副词的时候呢，它的翻译就也是翻译成之后啊，但是它跟 since 当副词的时候不同的用法是 since 啊，它可以修饰完成式，不是可以，它是通常用来修饰完成式当副词的时候啊。那 after 呢，它修饰的是过去式啊。那这个时候 after 的意思就等于 later 或者是 afterwards.
And that's easy to understand. That is why we use the past tense with after and not the perfect. Because after means after that point. 它针对时间，针对时间的动词形态就是过去式，而不是完成式。
Yeah, 因为 after 啊，它就像刚刚 Karen 老师讲，它是强调在一个点、一个时间点之后，那一个时间点，那尤其是指过去的时候，那个时间点就是简单过去式。好，如果是完成式的完成式，它通常是牵涉到一段时间，好，从某个点开始算起来的一段时间，好，所以这个它是一整段的时间，那是完成式。那过去式简单过去就是一个过去的点，那 after 就从一个过去的时候点开始，所以它通常是跟过去式一起用。
Here's our first example. He fell ill on Monday and died 3 days after. You could also say he fell ill on Monday and died 3 days later. Or you could say he fell ill on Monday and died 3 days afterward. Or you could say he fell ill on Monday and died 3 days afterwards. So afterward and afterwards are both used and both are correct. Now we have a bunch of choices here. After, later, afterward, afterwards. Now when we say he fell ill on Monday and died 3 days after, actually we are omitting that. He fell ill on Monday and died 3 days after that. After that is the time when he fell ill.
好，所以这个 after 啊，这种用法的时候，其实你可以把它想成，它其实是 after that 的这个 that 把它省略掉了啊。那这种 after 常常就放在句尾啊，所以你看他说他礼拜一生病，然后呢3天之后，礼拜一的3天之后他就过世了啊，所以这个用在简单的过去式。
Okay, our next example is Jimmy graduated from college and got a really good job soon after. Again, we can imagine it as omitting the word that, soon after that, namely the time that he graduated. If you wanted to make it really wordy, you could say, Jimmy graduated from college and got a really good job soon after he graduated from college. Nobody would like to hear a sentence like that, so we could say soon after that, which would be perfectly correct and fine because it doesn't repeat so much, because it is a pronoun, but we can also omit the pronoun. So what we end up with is Jimmy graduated from college and got a really good job soon after.
好，所以 soon after 在这里就是很快，那个之后很快，所以他大学毕业之后很快就找到一个很好的工作。那这个 soon after 后面你可以把它想成他省略了一个 that 啊，这个 that 是代名词，就是指他毕业这件事情的时间点啊。So soon after that， 或者是更简单的 soon after.
You have a similar situation in Chinese when you say 之前. So, for example, you ask somebody, 有没有这样做过? You could say 之前有过了，可是之后就没有。You say 之前之后 This is short for 这之前 这之后那个这可以省略变之前之后 That's really similar to how we use after in this situation.
That's true 啊，所以中文这个之前之后啊，其实是这之前或那之前啊这个省略啊，那之后也是这之前或那之后啊，那这之后或那之后的那个这那把它省掉了，所以中文的也是类似的。
Okay, our next example. The war ended in 1945, and they lived happily ever after. Now, this one is used in a similar way, but this is actually a set expression. It's an idiom. It's a phrase. You could say that it's also a cliche, to live happily ever after.
Yeah， 这个其实是英文一个固定的说法啊，而且有点 cliché， 有点陈腔滥调。因为你这个大概很多的童话啊，结尾都是这样子啊，这个从此过着幸福快乐的生活啊，就是 they lived happily ever after.
But it is the same construction. They lived happily ever after that. It is the same thing.
不过呢，这个事实上也是一样，它那个 after 后面也是省略了一个 that 啊，所以一模一样的这个概念。所以这一句话例句说，这个战争在1945年结束，然后呢，他们在那个之后就从此过着幸福快乐的日子。
Okay, so we finished up with after. We're going to move on to quite and rather. Now, this one is a little more complicated than it appears. So don't say that A 等于 B 等于 C. Watch out for that. Because these words are used differently. Fortunately, they have some pretty good equivalents in Chinese.
好，所以我们看到底下这两个 quite 跟 rather 啊，首先要注意的是这两个英文意思不一样啊，他们有的时候意思几乎很像啊，但是大部分的时候他们其实这两个字意思不太一样。好，那 quite 在中文里面呢，这个翻译是相当啊，或者是十分。那 rather 的中文呢，大概我们可以翻译成有点怎样，或者是蛮怎么样，或者颇怎么样啊。那从中文去分，有的时候不容易区分，但是你从英文里面去想啊，这个 quite 大多数的时候它的意思是 to a great or considerable extent 啊，就是 great 或者 considerable 的一个程度，所以它跟英文的 very 很接近啊，然后呢，跟 noticeably 也很像啊。那 quite 这个字啊，你要再去分的话啊，我在一本书上看到啊，这个外国人写的书，他说这个 quite 感觉起来它比 extremely 那个弱一点
Yeah.
可是呢又比 fairly 强一点。
That's right. So
Yeah.
what do you think of this? It's quite good. I'm not saying it, wow, it's fantastic. I'm saying it's 相当好 and 相当 in Chinese 有点打折扣。
Yeah， 相当就不是极好那种感觉，所以你可以用英文去想这些联想哈，所以 quite 是 to a great or considerable extent 啊，它跟 very 很像，那比 extremely 弱啊。那 rather 呢，它是somewhat 的意思啊，或者你可以说 to some degree or extent 啊，所以各位注意 quite 是 to a great or considerable extent， 那这个地方呢 rather 它是 to some degree or extent 啊，所以它是差不多是 fairly 的意思，所以我们刚刚讲它比那个 quite 还要弱一点哈 extremely quite fairly 啊，或者 extremely quite rather 啊，从强到弱。好，那中文的这个rather 可以翻译成有一点怎么样啊，那它rather 常常用来把这个话语气稍微讲委婉一点弱一点。Yeah.
That's right. So if you want to be a little more polite, use rather. In Chinese, you can say 有点. In English, you can say rather. Now, in order to make this more concrete, Wesley came up with a situation where we can apply what we have just talked about. We're imagining now that I am a matchmaker, and there's a young woman who thinks she feels her biological clock ticking away. She wants to find a partner, get married, and have kids before she's too old. So I'm a matchmaker now, and I'm showing her a bunch of photographs of eligible bachelors. And so she's looking at the pictures with no context. I didn't suggest anybody in particular. She's just pointing at one. I will say, well, what do you think of this guy? And she points at him and says, he's quite old.
啊，那这个时候呢，这个意思就是 he's quite old， 他蛮老的。
Yeah.
那种感觉，他蛮老的。
He's pretty old, yeah.
Yeah, 没有到 extremely old， 但是他蛮老的。
We could also say pretty.
Yeah,
he's quite old. 哇，这个人还蛮老的。
蛮老的。
But in another situation, she's really excited about this guy she's found. She thinks he's a really good match. And the girl does not care for him and doesn't want to hurt the matchmaker's feelings, but she also wants to express what she's really thinking. So I'll say, well, this guy, he's actually got a PhD and blah, blah, blah. What do you think? And then she's trying to be polite and says,
他有点老呀。
He's rather old.
Yeah. 好，所以各位刚刚这 Karen 老师这个例子呢，
That's Wesley's example.
OK Karen 老师讲的这个例子哈，就告诉我们说 quite 跟 rather 他们之间的区别，其实跟中文你从中文也感觉得出来啊。就例如说，今天我们在这个说媒哈，我们是媒人，然后这个跟一个女生说，哎，这个男的你觉得怎么样？就这女生看了之后，她很不满意，她觉得 这个男的太老了，但他可能就会说啊，他蛮老的啊，他不好意思说他非常老，那个太伤人。他说他蛮老的。
I think that we would use the first one more often when we're not worried about hurting somebody's feelings. So she's looking at a bunch of pictures in a book, just print it out, and she's going through them one by one and trying to decide which ones she should sort of keep in the running and which ones she should just eliminate right away. So she's going through them. Well, this one I can consider, that one so-so. Oh, he's quite old. So she's probably going to eliminate this one. She's not so worried about hurting people's feelings. She's just eliminating this guy from the selection process.
Yeah.
But in the second one, the matchmaker's kind of enthused and trying to sell her on this guy she's found. And the girl doesn't want to hurt the matchmaker's feelings. So she says,
他有点老.
He's rather old. So I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I don't think he's young enough for me.
Yeah. 所以刚刚 Karen 老师讲这一点，指出来这点很重要，就是他如果说他不担心伤害到没人的这个心情的，或者他不担心没人听得不高兴或者难过的话，他可能就直接说，所以比较直接说就他蛮老的。
Yeah.
这就是 he's quite old。但如果说他想要委婉一点，他不希望伤没人的心，因为没人可能非常的兴奋说，我跟你讲这个人很棒哦，他怎样
PhD。
讲了很多啊，那这个女生不想让没人没面子，不想伤他就委婉一点，就说 Well, he's rather old 他有点老。所以这两个 rather 跟 quite 我想大家应该分得出来哈。所以现在的 he's quite old 那就是他相当老了，他蛮老的啊。那 he's rather old 就是他有点老。比较委婉一点。
Right. All right. So we're going to make a comparison now to a previous lesson when we were comparing the words embarrassed and awkward. Now, we found that 尴尬 in Chinese is often awkward. It describes the situation more than it describes your feelings. That means it's difficult to manage well. It's awkward. If you're embarrassed, 那是你内心觉得有点羞愧，有一点你好像是那个自己做得不够好，觉得自己的能力没那么好。So it's more a criticism of yourself when you say embarrassed. It's more a description of the situation, more objective when you say awkward. And here it's somewhat similar. When you say he's quite old, it's a little bit more objective. It's just describing something. But when you say he's rather old, you're bringing feelings into it. As soon as you bring feelings into it, you're going to make some compromises in order not to hurt somebody's feelings or make the situation more difficult than it has to be. So watch out for words. Watch out for how much feeling is encoded in the word. Maybe the word is pretty objective and it doesn't have a lot of feeling in it. Then you just use it when you're speaking objectively. You're describing something objectively. When you are dealing with people, which is the hardest thing we do in our lives, the hard part isn't solving the problems. The hard part is dealing with other people. That's what all of my 主管 have told me in the past. Then you have to be careful and use a lot of language infused with feeling that encodes feeling. So those are two words. Encode 是把那个感情那个编码进去，你就把它内建在那个字里面，它里面含有感情的成分。Or it can be objective when it doesn't have so many feelings in it. So when you are learning words, pay attention to how much feeling is encoded in the word.
Yeah. 好，所以呢，这个我们认识一个字的时候呢，其实各位要尽量去学这个字。它里面的那个情感的负载有多少，或者是这个字它有什么样的这个暗示的感觉啊？就当然听了之后会让大家有什么样的感觉？这样子你要知道这些区别，你才能准确的使用这些字。
And another word I used was infused with feelings or emotions. To be infused with, 把它浸泡在里面。infuse 加 d。infused infused with, to be infused with emotion. That means you've got a lot of 感情 in this word.
好，所以这个 quite 跟 rather 是在这两个之间有这样的一个区分啊。
Okay, let's go on.
那接下来呢，这个我们除了老之外，还有第三个例句。
He studies quite hard.
这他相当用功啊，所以这 quite hard 感觉起来他其实蛮努力的没有到 extremely hard， 但是 quite hard。If
I said he studies rather hard, then I'm really 打折扣.
Yeah.
I'm really hedging. That means that, well, I'm trying to be polite. He does study, but I wouldn't say very hard.
好，所以如果是这个如果是 rather hard 的话呢，其实你就 呀，就其实感觉起来是其实不是那么用功了，但是你要
10分，
这个你没有到10分，可能只有7、8分，对，就他还蛮用功的啦，
还算用功，还算
对，还蛮用功的啦。这个感觉起来是没有你有一点保留那种感觉，然后用 rather 的话就比较有保留，但是 quite 的话呢，就其实觉得你有一点比较欣赏的感觉，诶，他还 quite hard 不错哦
，With rather in Chinese, you often say 还
，yeah，还怎么样？对，还算
，right，
他还算用功啦
Okay, now we're going to talk about the difference between, or where we put actually a or an. Now, you're going to learn from your textbook, and it is correct, that you should not say, he's a quite good student. You should say, he's quite a good student. And this is correct, and this is the way you should learn it, and the way you should write it, and most definitely the answer you should give in a test. He's quite a good student. However, I'm going to warn you, occasionally, you will hear in spoken English, especially if somebody pauses in an effort to find the right word, he's a quite good student. You may hear it. She's paused after She doesn't want to say a very good student because he's not that great. And he's not that lousy, but he's doing okay. You might hear somebody say, he's pause thinking of a good word. Quite good student. 你可能会听到, but don't write it in the test. Don't put it in a composition.
好，那这里呢，这个文法就是quite， 它如果修饰 a 加形容词加单数名词的时候呢，它要放在这个 a 的前面那这个其实看这种叙述，很多人像我看到这个叙述，我脑袋就觉得糊里糊涂的。但是你看句子就很清楚，你要讲成 he's quite a good student， 就跟 such 一样 ，he's such a good student that 什么什么那当然用文法可以解释，可是太复杂了你不要管那文法解释，你把它背起来 ，he's quite a good student。好，那这里告诉你说你不应该写 he's a quite good student 但是要注意的就是 he's a quite good student， 这是基本上的不合文法了。可是刚刚 Karen 老师提出来，就是你其实这个 native speakers 有时候在讲话里面他可能会这样讲，但是他常常在那个 quite 前面会有一个 pause， 因为他在想找什么样的字，例如说 he's a
very good student is okay.
Yeah， 但是你如果说觉得他不是那么棒，可是又不是很差，所以你在想说 he's a
fairly good student.
Yeah， 或者 quite good student.
Yeah, we might pick quite. And although it is not that grammatical, if there's a pause there, you will hear it sometimes.
Yeah， 但是那是口语，而且有 pause 来帮忙所以大家记得考试的时候那你还是要把它写成是错的he's a quite good student 不对，你还是要找正确答案，还是 he's quite a good student。We
have less of a problem to worry about if we use the plural. They're quite good students.
如果是复数的话就没有问题，因为没有 A 的问题所以 they're quite good students.
Number 7, we're going to talk about someday, one day, the other day, some other day. Now, when you hear them together, it just sounds like a mess. 都糊在一起的感觉.
Yeah, 但是呢
talk about each one individually. Let's talk about someday written as one word.
这个也可以写成2个字它的意思就是将来有一天。那既然是将来有一天，它当然是用在未来式。
Now, we will usually pronounce them differently. So, someday I'm going to be a great writer. But someday, if we say them very separately and very emphatically, we'll probably write them separately. The written form often reflects our intonation when speaking.
好，所以这个写成一个字的时候someday 感觉起来中间比较没有 pause 那个 day 也不会那么强。但是如果说你把它写成2个字的话，上面 someday 那感觉起来 someday 会比较清楚一点。
And that makes it sound 比较遥远一点。Someday I'll be able to do this， 感觉好像很有决心，而且可能是蛮遥远的。
所以因为分成2个字距离远了，所以感觉起来更遥远了。
Okay, so our example is keep on working hard and someday you'll be successful. Or keep on working hard and someday you'll be successful.
好，所以呢，这个例句你继续努力有一天总会成功的。好，那这个写成1个字跟写成2个字的念法希望刚刚各位都有注意到 Karen 老师的念法。
Be one day.
好，那 one day 呢，这个比较讨厌它呢，因为它可以指过去的某一天，也可以指未来的某一天，都有可能。它指未来的某一天的时候，它就等于 someday 的意思，用于过去式。那如果说是指过去的某一天的话那它就等于 the other day 那也就是指之前过去的，所以它要用过去的过去式。
And our example is I saw him downtown one day. 那个 one day 念得很轻，就是有一天我碰到他I saw him downtown one day. It is equivalent in meaning to I saw him downtown the other day. The other day 一样也念得很轻 and it means about the same thing. The other day is a little wordier.
好，所以呢指过去的某一天的时候呢，这个尤其放在这个句尾感觉起来它不会是很重要的 information 所以它是轻读 I saw him downtown one day.
Now the next one is very different. The next one's at the beginning of the sentence and it is very emphatic, especially in this particular sentence because it's a threat. One day you'll be sorry.
好，那这个地方呢 one day 为什么放在句首呢？因为你是很强调，这几乎是个 threat
威胁
在威胁你说总有一天你会后悔的所以这个 one day 就类似中文讲的总有一天，语气是很强的所以两个字都有重音。
You can also say someday you'll be sorry, and that one is not as strong. So you can see in both situations, when we said someday, very closely linked together, written as one word, it is not as strong. But if you say someday, then it is very strong and emphatic. It's the same with this one in the way that you read it. So one day you'll be sorry. If we exchange that for someday, which is written as one word, it is not as strong. Someday you'll be sorry. One day you'll be sorry. You can hear the difference.
所以 one day 这比较强总有一天你会后悔的。那如果你讲说 someday you'll be sorry， 这个就感觉起来没有那么强，就弱一点。
We're moving on to C now, and we're going to repeat something that we just mentioned in B, and that is the other day, 前几天。So this is an example of something we've already mentioned. Remember when we said, I saw him downtown one day. I saw him downtown the other day. Now we're just going to list the other day separately. Tim got in a terrible accident the other day.
所以这个前几天，所以简单过去式 got in a terrible accident 这个简单过去式。
All right, pay attention now. In D, it's quite different. We're going to stress other. So some other day. Just please not now. Let's talk about this some other day or some other time. I'm busy now. I will visit you some other day. Now, this one sounds relatively polite, but usually it means I don't want to deal with this now.
好，所以 some other day 就是改天的意思所以我现在很忙这个我改天再去拜访你。它通常这个意思就是我现在不想处理这件事情。
Right. It can be more polite or it can be pretty emphatic. And an example of avoidance behavior depending on your intonation. We're going to move on to 8, so much so that.
好，那这个 so much so that 它是这个其实是用来避免的所以它这里先给我们一个句子
He's busy. So busy that he can't afford to take a day off. Now here we have a 插入语. We have a dash here and then something that's not directly connected to the beginning of the sentence. It's got an independent in intonation.
Yeah, 好，所以它这个句子看起来是不错但是呢，这个 busy 重复了2次，对 ，he's busy, so busy that 那 busy 一直重复，好，所以呢，这个时候呢，我们就可以怎么样？我们可以用 much so 来代替这个重复的 busy 所以这个句子就变成底下这个句子。
Okay, he's busy, so much so that he can't afford to take a day off. So much so that. And this is quite common, and it also sounds like we're trying hard to give somebody an explanation.
好，所以这个感觉起来好像是我们想要给
很刻意
的要这个提供要刻意的解释的感觉那所以这个时候 much so 可以在这个 so that 这种结构里面代替前面已经提到的副词或形容词，也就是在我们刚刚的例子是 busy 的这样的一个例子。所以我们再看看这个代替副词的情况之下。
He studies hard, so hard that he's sure to pass the exam. Now, we can say this as, he studies hard, so much so that he's sure to pass the exam.
所以 so much so 那个后面那个 much so 就可以代替原来那个 so hard that 那个的 hard 这样避免重复。
其实那个 hard 还比较没那么啰嗦，比较短一点。
没错哈，你原来讲 so hard that 还比那个 so much so 还要这个长，还要短一点 ，yeah.
But the advantage of so much so, the longer version, is that we don't have to repeat a word, and as we've mentioned many times, we don't like repetition in English. Here's our last example for today. The song is catchy, so catchy that it's been stuck in my head for days. We could also say the song is catchy, so much so that it's been stuck in my head for days.
好，所以这地方也是一样哈，这个 so much so 那个 much so 代替了原来的那个 catchy 那个字。
And that is it for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.